Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Robert Adams, and I'm going to be loading this up to my YouTube channel. Apparently I've picked up a couple followers along the way. A little bit about myself is I've started studying, for lack of a better word, esoteric books and sciences, and it all started when I'd found on the channel Spirit Science, they put together a small video. Well, I don't know if you want to call it small or not, but it's a little over an hour, the unedited version, and it's the human history movie. And they made a few references in this as far as some of the work that they referenced being from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and that got me interested in what they were saying. And they kept referencing it, and I went ahead and I broke down and I ordered the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, a collection and analysis of the tablets by John McEnroe. Now there are several interpretations and translations out there, but this one, and most of them are pretty much in the same category and translated the same way. And if it tells you to read it, you have to at least read it 100 times. And then in the 100 times you will be able to understand it in 100 different ways, or 100 different levels of consciousness. And then you should be able to appreciate the full beauty of what is written and the full understanding of what's really going on. And in the following recordings, I'm just going to break this down, what they call one tablet at a time, or one chapter at a time, however you, the reader, however it helps you digest what's being presented to you. But if you have not gotten one of these books, I highly suggest you do, because this is a very good starting point on where to get started in this field. And trust me, once your feet is upon this, and if the light's in you, like it says, if the light is in you, it will speak to you and it will illumine your mind, and you will want to know more. And through the laws of attraction, which is a universal law, more works like this will come into your life over time. I've been studying this and reading this book and these ways for, once again, just a lack of a better word, the esoteric ways, for, well, since I'm going to say about late 2013, early 2014. And trust me, it has spoken volumes to my mind and soul and spirit. And the things I have learned to this date, it will absolutely boggle the mind. It's like you've been told one thing your entire life, and then it's kind of like when you were a kid and you were told, well, Santa Claus brought this, Santa Claus did this, Santa Claus did that, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy. But when you get to be a certain age, you're finally told the truth by your parent. And it's like, you're like, so everything up to this point's been a lie. This is like the next step in the evolution of man. And I now understand why all organized religions and the powers that be try to keep this kind of information quiet. There's power in this. It's freedom, that it frees your mind, your body, your spirit. It will break you away from the religious dogma shackles that seem to want to hold the world down, and you will be able to break away from the power structure and the control structure that, and I hate using this word because it is improperly applied here, but the Illuminati, if you will, and the church, it's that power structure that they have to control the masses, and people have bought into it. And I just, when my mind was set on fire and enlightened with the writings that is in this book, and it set me on the path, let me tell you something, folks, it freed me. And the reason I'm starting to do this on my channel, which if you actually go in there and look, I started off just posting music videos, and I was just wanting to entertain the world, because at that particular time, when I first started into this, I looked at the world and I seen nothing but ugliness and bickering and hatred and everything that seems to be wrong with the world today. And I wanted to at least bring a smile to somebody and say, I enjoyed that song. But the more I read and studied, the more I realized that it is a spiritual duty to spread this word around. Now, I'll be honest with you, I am not an initiate yet. That is one of my main goals. And what I want to do is I eventually want to teach this to the masses. I want to free mankind. But until I become an initiate, I am not allowed to really sit down and teach. But I am, for the most part, allowed to sit and read this and let you decipher what you like, what you don't like, if it works for you, if it don't. So with that being said, let's get started. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Some people say Thoth, I call it Thoth. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, a collection and analysis of the tablets, by John McEnroe, not the tennis player. Preface. The history of the tablets translated in the following pages is strange and beyond the belief of modern scientists. Their antiquity is stupendous, dating back some 36,000 years BC. The writer is Thoth, an Atlantean priest king who founded a colony in ancient Egypt after the sinking of the mother country. He was the builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza, erroneously attributed to Cheops. In it, he incorporated his knowledge of the ancient wisdom, and also securely secreted records and instruments of ancient Atlantis. For some 16,000 years, he ruled the ancient race of Egypt, from approximately 52,000 BC to 36,000 BC. At that time, the ancient barbarous race among which he and his followers had settled had been raised to a high degree of civilization. Thoth was an immortal. That is, he had conquered death, passing only when he willed, and even then not through death. His vast wisdom made him ruler over various Atlantean colonies, including the ones in South and Central America. When the time came for him to leave Egypt, he erected the Great Pyramid over the entrance to the Great Hall of Amenti, placed in it his records, and appointed guards for his secrets from among the highest of his people. In later times, the descendants of these guards became the Pyramid Priests, by which Thoth was deified as the god of wisdom, the recorder, by those in the age of darkness which followed his passing. In legend, the halls of Amenti became the underworld, the halls of the gods, where the soul passed after death for judgment. During later ages, the ego of Thoth passed into the bodies of men in the manner described in the tablets. As such, he incarnated 3 times in his last being known as Hermes, the thrice-born. In this incarnation, he left the writings known to modern occultists as the Emerald Tablets, a later and far lesser exposition of the ancient mysteries. The tablets translated in this work are 10, which were left in the Great Pyramid in the custody of the Pyramid Priests. The 10 are divided into 13 parts for the sake of convenience. The last 2 are so great and far-reaching in their import that at present it is forbidden to release them to the world at large. However, in those contained herein are secrets which will provide an inestimable value to the serious student. They should be read not once, but 100 times, for only thus can the true meaning be revealed. A casual reading will give glimpses of beauty, but more intensive study will open avenues of wisdom to the seeker. But now a word as to how mighty secrets came to be revealed to modern man after being hidden so long. Some 1300 years BC, Egypt, the ancient Kim, was in turmoil, and many delegations of priests were sent to other parts of the world. Among these were some of the Pyramid Priests who carried with them the Emerald Tablets as a talisman by which they could exercise authority over the less advanced priestcraft of races descended from other Atlantean colonies. The tablets were understood from legend to give the bearer authority from Thoth. The particular group of priests bearing the tablets immigrated to South America, where they found a flourishing race, the Mayas, who remembered much of the ancient wisdom. Among these, the priests settled and remained. In the 10th century, the Mayas had thoroughly settled the Yucatan, and the tablets were placed beneath the altar of one of the great temples of the sun god. After the conquest of the Mayas by the Spaniards, the cities were abandoned and the treasures of the temples forgotten. It should be understood that the Great Pyramid of Egypt has been and still is a temple of initiation into the mysteries. Jesus, Solomon, Apollonius, and others were initiated there. The writer, who has a connection with the Great White Lodge, which also works through the Pyramid priesthood, was instructed to recover and return to the Great Pyramid the ancient tablets. This, after adventures which need not be detailed here, was accomplished. Before returning them, he was given permission to translate and retain a copy of the wisdom engraved on the tablets. This was done in 1925, and only now has permission been given for part to be published. It is expected that many will scoff, yet the true student will read between the lines and gain wisdom. If the light is in you, the light which is engraved in these tablets will respond. Now a word as to the material aspects of the tablet. They consist of 12 tablets of emerald green, formed from a substance created through alchemical transmutation. They are imperishable, resistant to all elements and substances. In effect, the atomic and cellular structure is fixed, No change can ever take place. In this respect, they violate the material law of ionization. Upon them are engraved characters in the ancient Atlantean language, characters which respond to attuned thought waves, releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. The tablets are fastened together with hoops of golden-colored alloy suspended from a rod of the same material. So much for the material appearance. The wisdom contained therein is the foundation of the ancient mysteries, and for the one who reads with open eyes and mind, his wisdom shall be increased 100-fold. Read, believe or not, but read, and the vibration found therein will awaken a response in your soul. In the following pages I will reveal some of the mysteries which, as yet, have only been touched upon lightly either by myself or other teachers or students of truth. Man's search for understanding of the laws which regulate his life has been unending, yet always just beyond the veil which shields the higher planes from material man's vision, the truth has existed, ready to be assimilated by those who enlarge their vision by turning inward, not outward in their search. In the silence of material senses lies the key to the unveiling of wisdom. He who talks does not know. He who knows does not talk. The highest knowledge is unutterable, for it exists as an entity in lanes which transcend all material words or symbols. All symbols are but keys to doors leading to truths, and many times the door is not opened because the key seems so great that the things which are beyond it are not visible. If we can understand that all keys, all material symbols, are manifestations, are but extensions of a great law and truth, we will begin to develop the vision which will enable us to penetrate beyond the veil. All things in all universes move according to law, and the law which regulates the movement of the planets is no more immutable than the law which regulates the material expressions of man. One of the greatest of all cosmic laws is that which is responsible for the formation of man as a material being. The great aim of the mystery schools of all ages have been to reveal the workings of the law which connect man to the material and man the spiritual. The connecting link between the material man and the spiritual man is the intellectual man, for the mind partakes of both the material and immaterial qualities. The aspirant for higher knowledge must develop the intellectual side of his nature and so strengthen his will that is able to concentrate all powers of his being on and in the plane he desires. The great search for light, life, and love only begins on the material plane. Carried to its ultimate, its final goal is complete oneness with the universal consciousness. The foundation in the material is the first step. Then comes the higher goal of spiritual attainment. In the following pages I will give an interpretation of the emerald tablets and their secret, hidden, and esoteric meanings. Concealed in the words of Thoth are many meanings that do not appear on the surface. Light of knowledge brought to bear upon the tablets will open many new fields for thought. Read and be wise, but only if the light of your own consciousness awakes the deep-seated understanding which is the inherent quality of the soul. Tablet 1. The History of Thoth the Atlantean. I, Thoth the Atlantean, Master of Mysteries, Keeper of Records, Mighty King, Magician, living from generation to generation, being about to pass into the halls of Amenti, set down for the guidance of those that are to come after. These records of the mighty wisdom of great Atlantis. In the great city of Kior on the island of Undal, in a time far past, I began this incarnation. Not as the little men of the present age did, the mighty ones of Atlantis live and die, but rather from aeon to aeon did they renew their life in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows eternally onward. 100 times 10 have I descended the dark way that led into light, and as many times have I ascended from the darkness into the light, my strength and power renewed. Now for a time I descend, and the men of Kim is alchemy in ancient Egypt, shall know me no more. But in a time yet unborn will I rise again, mighty and potent, requiring an accounting of those left behind me. Then beware, O men of Kim, if ye have falsely betrayed my teachings, for I shall cast ye down from your high estate into the darkness of the caves from whence ye came. Betray not my secrets to the men of the north or the men of the south, lest my curse fall upon ye. Remember and heed my words, for surely I will return again and require of thee that which ye guard. I, even from beyond time and from beyond death, will I return, rewarding or punishing as ye have requited your trust. Great were my people in the ancient days, great beyond the conception of the little people now around me, knowing the wisdom of old, seeking far within the heart of infinity, knowledge that belonged to the earth's youth. Wise were we with the wisdom of the children of light who dwelt amongst us. Strong were we with the power drawn from the eternal fire. And of all these, greatest among the children of men was my father thoth me, shooter's choice, keeper of the great temple, link between the children of light who dwell within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands, mouthpiece after the 3 of the dweller of Unal, speaking to the kings with the voice that must be obeyed. Grew I there from a child into manhood, being taught by my father the elder mysteries, until in time there grew within the fire of wisdom until it burst into a consuming flame. Not desired I but the attainment of wisdom, until on a great day the command came from the dweller of the temple that I be brought before him. Few there were among the children of men who had looked upon that mighty face and lived. For not as the sons of men are the children of light when they are not incarnate in a physical body. Chosen was I from the sons of men, taught by the dweller so that his purpose might be fulfilled, purposes yet unborn in the womb of time. Long ages I dwelt in the temple, learning ever and yet ever more wisdom, until I too approached the light emitted from the great fire. Taught me he the path to Amenti, the underworld where the great king sits upon his throne of might. Deep I bowed in homage before the lords of life and the lords of death, receiving as my gift the key of life. Free was I of the halls of Amenti, bound not by death to the circle of life. Far to the stars I journeyed until space and time became as naught. Then having drunk deep of the cup of wisdom, I looked into hearts of men, and there found I greater mysteries, and was glad. For only the search for truth could my soul be stilled, and the flame within be quenched. Down through the ages I lived, seeing those around me taste of the cup of death and return again in the light of life. Gradually from the kingdoms of Atlantis passed waves of consciousness that had been one with me, only to be replaced by spawn of a lower star. In obedience of the law, the word of the Master grew into flower. Downward into the darkness turned the thoughts of the Atlanteans, until at last in this wrath arose from his Aguanti, the dweller. This word has no English equivalent. It means state of detachment. Speaking the word, calling the power. Deep in the earth's heart, the sons of Amenti heard, and hearing, directing the changing of the flower of fire that burns eternally, changing and shifting, using the Logos, until the great fire changed its direction. Over the world then broke the great waters, drowning and sinking, changing the earth's balance until only the temple of light was left, standing on the great mountain of Undal, still rising out of the water. Some there were who were living, saved from the rush of the fountain. Called to me the Master, saying, Gather ye together my people, take them by the arts ye have learned of far across the waters, until ye reach the land of the hairy barbarians dwelling in the caves of the desert. Follow there the plan that ye know of. Gathered I then my people, and entered the great ship of the Master. Upward we rose into the morning. Dark beneath us lay the temple, suddenly over it rose the waters. Vanished from earth, until time appointed was the great temple. Fast we fled toward the sun of the morning, until beneath us lay the land of the children of Kim. Raging they came with cudgels and spears, lifted in anger, seeking to slay and utterly destroy the sons of Atlantis. Then I raised my staff, and directed a ray of vibration, striking them still in their tracks as fragments of stone in the mountain. Then spoke I to them in words calm and peaceful, telling them of the might of Atlantis, saying we were children of the sun and its messengers. Cowed I them by my display of magic science, until at my feet they groveled when I released them. Long dwelt we in the land of Kim, long and long again, until obeying the commands of the Master, who while sleeping yet lives eternally, I sent from me the sons of Atlantis, sent them in many directions, that from the womb of time wisdom might rise again in her children. Long time dwelt I in the land of Kim, doing great works by the wisdom within me. Upward grew into the light of knowledge the children of Kim, watered by the rains of my wisdom. Blasted I then a path to Amenti, so that I might retain my powers, living from age to age, a son of Atlantis, keeping the wisdom, preserving the records. Great grew the sons of Kim, conquering the people around them, growing slowly upwards in soul force. Now for a time I go from among them into the dark halls of Amenti, deep into the halls of the earth, before the lords of the powers, face to face once again with the dweller. Raised I high over the entrance a doorway, a gateway, leading down to it many. Few there would be with the courage to dare it. Few pass the portal to dark a many. Raised over the passage, I, a mighty pyramid, using the power that overcomes earth force, gravity. Deep and deeper place I a force house or chamber. From it carved I a circular passage, reaching almost to the great summit. There in the apex set I the crystal, sending the ray into the time-space, drawing the force from the outer of the ether, concentrating upon the gateway to a many. Other chambers I built and left vacant to all seeming, yet hidden within them are the keys to a many. He who in courage would dare the dark realms, let him be purified first by long fasting. Lie in the sarcophagus of stone in my chamber, then reveal I to him the great mysteries. Soon shall he follow to where I shall meet him. Even in the darkness of earth shall I meet him. I, Thoth, Lord of Wisdom, meet him and hold him and dwell with him always. Builded I the great pyramid, pattern after the pyramid of earth force, burning eternally so that it too might remain through the ages. In it I builded my knowledge of magic science, so that I might be here when again I return from Amenti. I, while I sleep in the halls of Amenti, my soul roaming free will incarnate, dwell among men in this form or another, i.e. Hermes thrice born. Emissary on earth am I of the dweller, fulfilling his commands so that many might be lifted. Now return I to the halls of Amenti, leaving behind me some of my wisdom. Preserve ye and keep ye the command of the dweller. Lift ever upward your eyes towards the light. Surely in time ye are one with the Master. Surely by right ye are one with the Master. Surely by right yet are one with the All. Now I depart from ye. Know my commandments, keep them and be them, and I will be with you, helping and guiding you into the light. Now before me opens the portal. Go I down into the darkness of night.